friends, Farmer Justin here. I have a relatively short video about a wonderful little garden beastie. You guessed it, probably from the pictures, it's worms. I have a challenge for you, which is to find an insect or other creature in your own ecosystem and try to learn about it. Maybe draw a picture of it, draw a picture of how it fits into your food web around your house or where it usually lives. Perhaps some of you have found little ladybugs that have come out this winter. I know I have many of them in my house. They tend to go into the walls in the wintertime of houses, and then when it warms up, they might find their way inside through the lights or through the outlets or switches or something like that. How about houseflies? Maybe you have houseflies in there. Maybe even somewhere in a quiet little spot in your house, there's a little spider that's spinning some beautiful web. So what can you find in your place? But for now, check out this. Here's a couple of worm bins from two 5th grade classes, Mrs. Soul and Miss Barrett. They've been keeping worms in their classrooms in these bins since the fall, and every week we fed them some leftover fruits and vegetables. Also, you can see here some newspaper that we use for bedding. Worms will even eat the newspaper itself. Since we aren't in school right now, I'm cleaning out their bins and moving the worms to the hoop house, where I have a larger worm bin. As part of a food web, worms are decomposers. Earthworms act like little plows in the soil, and they eat their way through the soil and organic matter like leaves and dead plants, leaving little tunnels where water, air, and roots can go. But these worms here are not actually earthworms. They're actually a type of worm called a brandling worm, and they're smaller than earthworms, and they really actually like living above the soil, under rotting things. So they're different from earthworms that way. Because they prefer to be on top of the soil, they are called epigean. As you can see in this video, the worms are constantly trying to get under cover as I peel away layers. Even though they prefer to live above the soil, they are afraid of light even more. And this is called being photophobic. They don't have eyes, but in their skin, they can sense if there is light. So why do you think that they don't want to be out in the light? When I show people the worm bins, I'm often asked how they make baby worms. Well, first of all, if you cut a worm in two, it won't make two worms. In fact, it's even likely the original worm won't survive. But there is a chance that the head portion can grow back its tail end. Two worms will rub together their collars, and they share their DNA that way. There are no male and female worms. In fact, each worm is both. Each of the worms can lay a little cocoon or sac that has 1 or 2 tiny worms in it. They can do this about every 10 days. Every couple of months, then, a group of worms can actually double their size, double the amount of worms. Earthworms are great in the garden because they open up the soil. These worms here are helpful because they chew up rotting things that are on the surface. And both earthworms and brandling worms leave behind castings. Castings is another word for worm poo. In this video, you've seen me scrape away a lot of worm poo that I can use in the garden. It's really rich in nutrients that plants need, like nitrogen, calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus.